In the fall of 2008, Florence, Kentucky was the site of a prestigious international event, the WUSV World Championships, hosted by the United Schutzhund Clubs of America. Now, translated from German, Schutzhund means protection dog, but it's also a sport in which German Shepherds compete in 3 disciplines. There are over 200 local Schutzhund clubs here in America. The opportunity to see the best Schutzhund dogs and handlers from around the world brought a large audience to the championships, and for a week gave a distinct German flair to the northern Kentucky area.
Here in America, we don't necessarily allow dogs into our beer gardens and into our restaurant. Here at Hofbrauhaus House, we definitely welcome these guys any day. With the upstanding citizens that I have here and some of my German friends, how can I say no?
Schutzhund was developed by the creator of the breed, Max von Stephanitz, back in the late 1800s and early 1900s. As a way of testing a dog's inherent traits for workability, desirable traits that they wanted to see carried on in the German Shepherd dog. Today it's also developed into a very competitive sport.
I retired recently as a lieutenant with the Boone County Sheriff's Department. I was in charge of our department's police canines. In 1991, I was selected for my police department as a police canine handler. And my dog was imported from Germany, was 2 years old when I got him, and he had his Schutzhund 1 title on him when he came from Germany. So that's the first that I'd heard of Schutzhund. I found that I enjoyed the competitive part, I enjoyed the training, the camaraderie with the dog, and that's how I got involved in the sport of Schutzhund.
All Schutzhund clubs do things a little bit different as far as their own training policies. Everybody gets out there and works on what they need to work on, and we use the distractions of the other people and the other dogs in the group so we can train our dogs to work with distractions around them, because the final product is to have a dog that exhibits being totally in sync and in tune with the handler, not noticing anything else going on around them. All this is important in training. It also makes for a much more perfect pet for you when you leave the training field, because your dogs learn to work through distractions. So in everyday life, your dog also has that same ability to focus on you, whether you're walking in traffic or just taking your dog for a walk through the park. That's the purpose of a well-trained Schutzhund dog, is to have an all-around, well-rounded pet when you get home with them. Schutzhund is developed around 3 different phases: the tracking phase, the obedience phase, and the protection phase. And in some respects, it's a little bit of a misnomer, because all 3 phases, primarily the foundation is obedience. We go through 3 different levels of the Schutzhund test. First, you have to pass the BH, which is basic obedience, and make sure that your dog has a correct temperament to go on to do Schutzhund work. Once they achieve that, they go to the Schutzhund 1 level, then they go to the Schutzhund 2 level and the Schutzhund 3 level. Each level becomes more difficult in all 3 phases. It's something you really have to be dedicated to doing. It's not that you can't attain some success by putting the dog through Schutzhund training. Schutzhund is basically, it's a discipline. To really attain, the ultimate success, you have to be willing to make that sacrifice of time and energy to do that. The United Schutzhund Clubs of America is a German Shepherd breed organization, but we do offer in all of our working trials, other than our couple of national championships that are basically for the German Shepherd dog only, all of our events are open to any breed of dog. The Schutzhund trial itself was very important to the breed selection process, to maintain quality working dogs with good nervous stability and good strong bodies and coats to withstand the harsh elements of the winter and be able to do the work that's put before them in so many different tasks. And through Schutzhund training, the bloodlines have stayed so pure, because that's always been a prerequisite to be able to breed your dog in Europe. And so that's what we do here in the United States, the United Schutzhund Clubs of America too. Most of your police dogs, most of your really good search and rescue dogs come through a program where they've been bred for years by people who have been Schutzhund titling, putting police dog titles on dogs, search and rescue titles, all those things that prove genetically that these dogs have the foundation and the quality makeup to do the work. Some of the things you see in the obedience or test for the dog's structure, because if a dog can't jump properly and land properly, then the dog is going to break down from that. On all the basic finishes, whether it's a recall or on the retrieve exercises, when the dog returns to the handler, it must set in a frontal position and must hold that position for at least 3 seconds before they release the dumbbell or before the handler calls the dog to the heel position. What we want to see is the dog looking up at the handler, showing some real harmony with the handler. There's a lot of bond building through eye contact. The dog has to feel like it wants to work, not feels like it has to work. And that's the goal. That's the only way you get that camaraderie and that harmony between handler and dog, is for them to really enjoy what they're doing. The 3 levels of Schutzhund, each phase gets a little more difficult. And the tracking phase, I think, is a good example of, for Schutzhund 1, the handler lays the track. There's 2 articles on the track, at least 2 right turns, and you have to wait at least 20 minutes before you track your track with your dog. Schutzhund 2, a stranger lays the track, and there's a 30-minute wait. When you get to Schutzhund 3, a stranger lays the track, there's 4 turns, 3 articles, and an hour wait. Progressively speaking, each degree gets much more difficult. Training in the protection phase, while we're working the dog's aggressiveness and how to respond to being attacked, at the same time, we're also making sure that this dog is very level-headed and not overly aggressive, knows when to stop, knows when to release. Developing the dog through training, taking your time and making sure you build the dog's ability and the handler's ability to handle that dog. You develop a confidence level in the dog so that he doesn't fear what's going on around him. It's very similar to martial arts, where a child is being taught how to fight so they don't have to fight. They know how to handle the situation if the situation were to come to them, but they're not out looking for a fight. And that's no different than what we do with the dog in the Schutzhund training. The German Shepherd, they have jobs that they were bred to do. That was why the dog exists, is because the people that created the breed had an idea of what these dogs should do. You have a dog that has that kind of energy and drive to please its handler and do work for you. It makes a much happier, much more clear-headed pet when you can give them a job they want to do and train them to do it correctly so they feel successful.
Dogs do enjoy feeling useful. Why, Toby and Charlie, along with old Sadie back at home, take their hosting jobs seriously. Can't you tell? Well, looks like we're out of time for this week. The 3 of us will see you right here next time on Kentucky Life. Come on, lazy boys. Come on. Come on.